nothing. So that's me, full on, turn it, nothing at all. Welcome back into episode 93. So last week you saw me driving the car around, and I think across the, about 5 days, I clocked up about 30 odd miles, I think it was. A couple of short journeys, I probably did 2 or 3 of these 2-mile journeys. I did one journey that was 6 miles there, stop, 6 miles back. And then I did one big journey that was about 16 miles in total, 15 miles I suppose, without turning off at all, no problems. The only issue I hit across the entire thing was one of the longer journeys where I drove over to a friend's, turned off, and then tried to turn back on, nothing.
Completely dead.
But apart from that, faultless. That actually stopped me going to a petrol station because I was worried if I go into a petrol station and can't get it started again, I'm stuck. So this week I want to focus in on that. I want to try and work out why that's happening. There's a couple of other little jobs I want to try and squeeze in, but the big one is the non-start. As ever, thank you for watching. Click that like button, click the subscribe button. But now let's just jump in and see if I can sort that one out. So another job I've been putting off for a while is the installation of these things, or this thing. This, another thing sent by Jim of 928 Classics, so thank you very much for this, Jim. This is the power window surround. I showed her what it looks like, but without it, I can't fit the window switches. So the window switches obviously go in here. Mine is a complete mess, as you can see. I need to hoover it out still, but it's been chewed up. And what they did was fit a, obviously I've got windows up and down, left and right here. These two here were replaced by a alarm flashy light. A little panel went on there. But the bit that Jim sent me is here. So that goes in there, and these window switches, if I find one, just click in. Now without the surround, I can't click them in and secure them in. I'll hoover it out first though, and then we'll fit those in, and then I can actually attach up the windows. Okay, so I assume, I've not actually tried this out yet, but I assume we just thread it through like that, and then thread that through there. Now what I do need to do is just check the colours to make sure I've got the colours around the right way, so that red goes to the right one and green goes to the other. So green is the other side, so I'll just turn it around. So that one's going to be green. We'll slide it in there in a second. Here's the red one. So red's going to slide in there. Let's just make sure they do actually fit. Right, anyway, that'll do for now. I'm going to attach those up underneath there. I need to lean under there a little bit, and then we'll just check the windows still work. Hopefully you can see this, because I've... can you see the window going up and down over there? The wrong window, the wrong switch. And that's me following the correct colours as well, which is pretty stupid. I don't know how that's happened. I really don't, because they are round the correct way, but it's wrong, so let's swap them round. Right, I noticed recently that the brake lights don't seem to be working. I've got that brake warning, and it's a stop light on the dashboard, on the cluster. So I want to resolve that, try and work out why that is. I've just fixed the handbrake light that was always on, and that's because the little tiny switch, when the handbrake goes down, it presses on a switch. That was a bit dodgy. I've not fixed it, all I've done is sort of press it up and down a few times and the light went off. So at some point that needs to come out and just sort of check why. What I want to do today though is have the connectors out at the bottom of the master cylinder. There's 2 here, 2 pressure switches, one for the front circuit, one for the back circuit. Check they're getting voltage, and basically as long as they're getting voltage, then they're replacement switches. When I had the master cylinder rebuilt, I'm going to assume that this side is okay, and then we'll follow it back to the fuse board, and then from there we'll go to the back of the car. So there's the stoplight warning that I want to get rid of. The handbrake one's gone now, and hopefully when I get rid of this light, if I can point that one, the big master warning will go out, which would be nice. Okay, with the car in the on position, I'm getting voltage at is F6 is the connector. F6 is the one that goes off towards those switches under the bonnet on the bottom of the master cylinder. That I've confirmed I've got voltage, so I'm just double checking on this side. So 6 is the going out to them, and 7 is on the return. So if I just put that on 7, if you're watching the voltmeter, I'm going to press the brake pedal down, and we should, if I can do it, I'm not sure I've got the connection right. Let's have a little look here. Let's make sure that's definitely pressing in there. Isn't definitely doing. Let's try that. There we go. So there's voltage there now. So that's me pressing the pedal down, pedal up. I can't press it again, it's too far away. But it shows that the pressure switches are working. So fairly unexcitedly, I managed to get the cover off of the brake, which is traumatic, I would say. It does actually just slide out with a bit of levering. Mine's cracked already, so I need to look at a new one of those anyway. And I swapped the bulbs over. I swapped the reversing with the brake light, and it all works. Let me just show you. So I think we put it down to a faulty bulb. Press the brake pedal. There. Obviously it's white because it has no cover on it. But that's working fine now. So, brakes are working. So I've had a no start issue happen sort of intermittently for the last, I don't know, probably month or so, something like that. I'll show you what it does in a minute, but when I turn the key, it does literally nothing. And then separately, I've had a thing where the major warning and the, I think it's the engine oil light flash on and off. Again, I'll show you that in a sec. Well, where it happened last time was over at my friend's when I did the last video. So I drove out to him, turned it off, tried to start, wouldn't do anything. There's not even a click. Then I think I ran my fingers across the fuse board and it all worked. So that was that. The next time we did it is here in the garage. So I've got it doing it now. So repeatable means we can debug it and fix it. So that's what we're going to be doing this week, trying to work out, or certainly in this part of the video, trying to work out what it is, track it down and fix it. So I'll show you the symptoms. So the battery's connected, turning the key, nothing. So that's me, full on, turn it, nothing at all. And you can see the warning lights flash. And if I just look down there, there's the engine oil one as well. Don't worry, there is oil in the engine. Hopefully you can see that. It's right up perfectly on max. So what we can do then is take the 14-pin connector apart. Now, mine still doesn't have the housing put on correctly. I don't know if I can actually get this apart without a screwdriver. Let's try. And without breaking it. Now, I wonder if that's actually what the problem was. That wire there, which is the 14th pin, which is the one that goes off to the starter motor, wasn't plugged in very well. Let's just try that and see whether that fixes it. Nope, exactly the same. Right, so I'm going to disconnect the battery while we're doing this. I'm going to tease this apart, if I can. Gently, Bentley. It's not plugged in, so no battery, so we're pretty safe here. Let's get that apart again. Right, there's the old 14 pin. And this side. Now what I'm tempted to do then is just double check what voltages we've got. And I know it's a little bit tricky to see from there. I just pull my light in. So here's my 14 pin connector in all its glory. The yellow pin here, which is one called 14th pin, is right here with its male there. This one is the one that goes off to the starter motor. So if I connect that with the hot pole here, jump pole I think it's called, then that should start the engine, should engage the starter. Similarly, if I test that with the ignition on, I should have 12 volts there. Obviously something's going wrong, but this test will help us identify where that is. Right, voltmeter attached to the 14 pin on one side and to a good strong earth grounding at the front of the car. So let's turn the car, or try and turn the ignition on, and we'll see whether we get 12 volts. Okay, so we know we're getting 12 volts there. That looked pretty good actually, didn't it? So 12 volts is coming through to the 14 pin. Now let's do the test where we touch the male side of the 14 pin to the hot post. Okay, so I've got a jumper lead, hot post and the 14 pin connector. Listen. So, we know that the starter can turn. We know that we're getting 12 volts here. So that's strange. That to me tells me that the actual how these plug together is not working very well. So let's clean that up and just see if we can make that work. So let's clean it up with some electrical cleaner. Whoops. Spray it all over the engine bay. Well played. Somewhere along the line this is on my list of things to do properly. I'm under no illusion that this is not ideal, but for the moment it's what I've got. When I get time I'll work out whether we replace this completely or I buy a non-OEM one, but let's see if that now works. So turning the key, ignition on, and the turn, nothing. Nothing at all. One last go, just in case. Nothing at all. I use my Dremel with a very fine sort of file on it to get inside here. I'm not convinced that that's getting really clean in there, so we're going to use it now. Let's see if we just sort of clean it up enough. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to sort of cut through the metal at all, of course. Let's go give that a go now and see if it starts. Right, same game, turn the key, lights on, still nothing. Interesting. Nothing at all. So I don't like how I was seeing 10.3 volts down here. I think the clip I showed on the camera was 11, but that was like a one-off. Subsequently I've tested it, there's 10.3 volts. So knowing that if I apply 12 volts to the, I think it's the 50 wire pin 14 here, the car starts. Knowing that when I turn the ignition key I see 10.4 volts here, what I'm starting to think is that 10.4 volts isn't enough to energize the solenoid. So chasing it backwards, I come to the starter relay, and that's pretty grubby on these contacts. So what I'm going to do is Dremel it and then spray it up with my contact cleaner. Just going to run around the contacts quickly and see if we can at least make them shining a bit. Right, that's had a really good clean up. I'll just give it a little brush down with the contact cleaner, and I would say that's as clean as that's ever going to get. It really, I don't know if it comes out on camera, but it really cuts off the dirt, the Dremel. That's a pretty much new looking starter relay. Great, let's fit that back in the car and we'll try it again. Bit of a two-handed job this one, but the starter relay goes in here. I can probably just sort of lean across and maybe get that in. Maybe not. And just push it home. Right, let's start to relay in. Let's go live. This is first turn of the key. Come up. And we're running again. Look at that. Thing of beauty. And I'm down to no warning lights on the dash, just the major one, which I'm not sure why that is. Now that could be because the temperature gauge seems to be not connected. I think the temperature gauge is failing because of the bottom of the cluster. Let me know if you know why, or if the temperature gauge not being connected will give the master warning light, you know, the one that comes up here, because I can't see anything else wrong. And just to validate cleaning up of the starter relay, let's just turn the ignition on, and we're getting 11 volts there now. Well, that's better than the 10.3 I saw before, and clearly that's enough to turn the engine over, so I think we're good for the moment. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. So to recap, in case it didn't come out clearly enough, the starter motor wouldn't turn over. I pulled the 14-pin connector apart, tested putting 12 volts down down that pin, or down that wire down towards the starter, and the starter engaged. Tested the voltage coming out from the ignition, and it was ultimately from the starter relay, and it was about 10.3 volts, which I suspected wasn't enough to energize the starter solenoid. Put them back together, cleaned up all that connector, put it back together, still didn't work. So then I took out the starter relay, cleaned up its connectors, and I should go through all of my relays really and do the same trick, just sort of really scrub off all that dirt that's got corroded on there. And it starts fine. So we're back to a running car again, so I'm really pleased with that. And I'm going to leave it there this week. I'm really pleased to get the car going again. I had no idea what it was going to be. All I knew was that I'd sort of run my fingers across that fuse board when it didn't start over at my friend's. So I had an inkling it was going to be in that area, but I'm a big systematic person. I like to sort of follow things through from the start. In fact, actually the brake light was the classic, where it was just a failed brake bulb, where I start the fuse board and follow it through wire by wire, checking continuity, resistance and power, all the way through from fuse board out to the master brake cylinder, those pressure switches on the bottom, back to the fuse board, back down to the back of the car. Narrow it down that it must be this bit here, and then pull it out and there's a broken bulb. I guess anyone normal would have just checked if the bulb was broken straight away, but that's just me. So engine resolved. In the background, I didn't video it, but I actually sorted out the indicators as well. What I found was this side, the driver's side, driver's side in the UK, indicators were really dim. The back one was super dim, and when I checked, the front one wasn't on at all. Chasing that down again, all the way through the system, the wires and everything, there's a bad earth. So there's a bad earth on the front driver's side bulb, or not a bad earth connection. There's two wires that go into the back of the bulb. That was really bad, so that needed cleaning up. And when I got that fixed, then I found that when I indicated this direction and indicated right, the bulbs were blinking twice as quick. Both of them illuminating, but twice as quick. And I tracked that down to this back bulb being the wrong type of bulb. It was too small or too big. I didn't look at the numbers on it, to be honest. I just replaced it with the correct bulb, and we're back to full indicators all working correctly. So now I have, and I know I should have checked this before, I have working brake lights, I have working indicators, working hazards. What I don't have is a working fog light. I've got one fog light that works and the other one doesn't, so I want to look at that. And another thing I've noticed is that when I fix my headlights and they articulate, they rotate up, perfect. If the engine isn't running, if the engine's running, no, nothing at all. So I need to work out why that is, sort of follow that system through. That's a little bit more complicated because I know I don't have the accessory wire that's supposed to come from the ignition all the way through to A3 on the fuse board. There's nothing there, it's an empty slot. So I need to work out what's going on there. I've fitted a temporary one, but clearly that's not quite working. Although I've got a feeling that's correct and there's something else. Anyway, that's something for later. As ever, thank you for watching. I'm going to end there. I'll see you next week. Please click the like button, click the subscribe, leave me some comments, and I'll see you then.